Go ahead and get settled in. It is officially 11:45 a.m. Central Time. My name is Jennifer Bonner. I serve as the tutor team lead here at Archer Review. I have a lot of nursing experience. I've been a nurse for over 15 years. I'm a certified nurse midwife, and I've been in education for the last 4 years. And so I've been with Archer for 2.5 years now, and I absolutely love what I do. This is one of my favorite parts of the week is getting to go live and break down some of these difficult concepts. So wherever you are joining us, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, I am so glad that you have decided to join me this morning as we go through this amazing topic of EKGs, which can be a little bit of a stinker from time to time, but regardless of how you feel about it, I'm glad that you're here. So just a few housekeeping things before we get started. If you are joining me in Zoom and you have a question, something that you need answered, I am going to try my very best to get through as many of your questions as I possibly can. Please go ahead and put those in the Q&A. If I'm not able to get to your question, no worries at all. Please send me a question at nclextutors@archerreview.com. We'll be happy to get to those. We want to make sure your questions get answered. But as we're going through EKGs, we just ask that you keep your questions to EKGs, or if you have questions about our products, so we'd be happy to answer those. If you are just answering one of my questions, please go ahead and put those comments or those answers in the chat box for me. Now, a few of you have asked, are we going to be able to get notes from this lecture? We don't give the slides for these free webinars, but good news, it will be here for you to watch again and again and again and to share with your nursing buddies on Facebook and YouTube when we're finished. So if you are joining us on one of those platforms, please go ahead, like, share, make sure your nursing buddies know that we're here and that they can take advantage of this information as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And I want you to tell me, where are you joining me from? So you can let me know in the chat, or if you're joining me on Facebook or YouTube, you can go ahead and let me know there. So you can rewatch this lecture in our Facebook page and our YouTube channel afterwards. Kenya, Canada, New Jersey, Houston, Las Vegas, Ohio. Hey, welcome from the Buckeye State. Florida, Ghana, Kansas, DC, Alberta, Illinois, New Jersey, Manhattan, Pakistan, North Carolina, Austin, Arkansas, Oregon, Buffalo, Washington, California, the Philippines. Welcome. Minnesota. Awesome. I am so glad that you are joining me. I'm seeing several of you coming on. If you are joining me on TikTok or Instagram, if you could just let me know if you can see okay, the video is working, the slides are working well. We were having a little bit of an issue with that streaming here earlier. So if you can let me know if everything is looking okay on your end, that'd be great. All right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to EKGs is the anatomy. Now, it's really important that we understand the basics of what's going on so that we can later apply it. So, when it comes to the cardiovascular system, we have one heart, we have blood vessels. Now, our blood vessels, we have arteries and we have veins. Now, the arteries, they are carrying oxygenated blood away. So I always think A arteries, A away. So they're carrying that oxygenated blood away from the heart to what? Where are they taking that blood to? Let me know. Where are they taking that blood to? Where's that oxygenating blood going? To the tissues. You got it. To the rest of the body. We also have veins. Now, the veins are carrying deoxygenated blood towards the heart. Now, why would we want that blood going towards the heart? Why would we want deoxygenated blood going towards the heart? To reoxygenate. You got it. Nice job. Now we also have these capillaries. Now these capillaries are going to take the fluids between the heart, the blood and the interstitial spaces, and it's going to exchange. Now, the exception here is we have the pulmonary artery. Now, the pulmonary artery is the one that's carrying deoxygenated blood away. So when it comes to our arteries, we think away, oxygenated blood. But the pulmonary artery is carrying deoxygenated blood away from the heart, and the pulmonary vein is carrying oxygenated blood. So when it comes to the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary vein, those are opposite. So what about the chambers of the heart? Now, the chambers of the heart, we have 4 of them. We have 2 atria and 2 ventricles. Now, the atria, I think let me see if I can draw this for you here. Now, when I think about trying to figure out how do I keep these separate, how do I remember where these are? I always think about the letter A and the letter V. So the letter A has a peak at the top. So we have our atria and our atria, those are at the top, and the letter V has the peak at the bottom. So ventricle and ventricle. Okay, so that's how I remember where those are in the heart, and that just kind of helps me keep everything grounded. Now, the atria, what they're doing is they're getting blood from the veins, and they send blood to the ventricles. Okay, so they get the blood from the veins and they send it down to the ventricles. It's kind of like a processing plant or a line. So they get that blood from the veins and they send it out to the ventricles. And if you notice right here in the middle here, we have this little septum, kind of like in your nose, you have a nasal septum. There's a septum there that separates those two. Now the ventricles, well, we just talked about it. They're getting their blood from the atria, and then they send blood to the arteries. Now, somebody remind me, what type of blood are the arteries taking? Is it oxygenated or deoxygenated blood? Oxygenated blood. It's sending it to the arteries, and it's separated by its own septum. It has that intraventricular septum right there that keeps things separate. Now, when it comes to the cardiac cycle, we have systole and diastole. Now, when we talk about blood flow through the heart, I learned to start with the venous system, the body first. The tissues have used up all the oxygen in the body, and now it's looking for more. So that blood needs to do what? It needs to reoxygenate to do what it needs to do and to go to the lungs. But kind of like when I travel just about anywhere, there's no direct flights from where I live. I'm in South Dakota, so very few direct flights. So that blood needs to make a pit stop, a little, what do we call those? You're going to take well, you have to stop at another airport to go to yes, a layover. Thank you. Words today. It has to stop in the heart first. Now, this is because it's the pump. It's the center of the circulatory system. So if the heart is bringing deoxygenated blood back from the body to the heart, which road do you think it's taking? Do you think it's taking the veins or the arteries? Veins or arteries? What do you think? Yeah, it's taking the veins. They're responsible for that blood return to the heart. The veins pertinent to the right side of the heart are the superior and inferior vena cava, the massive veins that bring blood to the right side of the heart. So it moves blood into the right atrium, squeeze through that tricuspid valve on the right side, and then into the right ventricle. Now, when those ventricles squeeze, it moves blood through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery towards the lungs. And the pulmonary artery is a special kind. It's the only artery in the body that carries what type of blood? It's the only artery in the body that's carrying what type of blood? Remember, we said A away, carrying oxygenated blood. The pulmonary artery is carrying deoxygenated blood. You got it. And I remember that it's artery because A for artery, A away. Arteries are carrying blood away from the heart. So blood is moving away from the right side of the heart, headed towards the lungs. So oxygen and gas exchange can occur. Now, remember, we need that oxygen in our blood so it's useful for our tissues, right? So think about our round trip ticket. No direct flight back to the body. So we have to go back to the lungs, or we have to go from the lungs back to the heart. Now, this time to the left side. So from the lungs, we took the pulmonary vein toward the atrium, then through the mitral or bicuspid valve into the left ventricle, and then that ventricular squeeze is moving blood through the aortic valve into the aorta towards the rest of the body. So the tissues get to use up that oxygen that's now in the blood. Now, these two sides of the heart, so this left side and the right side, they're working at the same time. Think like a factory. If you've ever seen the show I Love Lucy, where they're in the chocolate factory, it's very similar. We have people doing jobs right next to each other, right? Now, the big thing to remember here is that the right side of the heart is dealing with deoxygenated blood. Okay, the right side of the heart is dealing with deoxygenated blood, and the left side deals with oxygenated blood. Now we have two phases, systole and diastole. Now, systole is that contraction squeezing blood out of the heart, and this is how those tissues get perfused with the oxygen-rich blood. Now, diastole is relaxation. This is just as important. Now, during this relaxation, the heart passively fills, so now there's blood in the ventricles to squeeze forward in systole. So it's important that we spend enough time in diastole so that we have enough blood to squeeze out in systole. So both parts are just as equally important. We have to have both. Okay. So diastole is when that heart fills with blood. And if we don't spend enough time in diastole, we don't have any blood to move forward in systole. Now, why would that be a problem? Well, because the rest of the blood needs it. Okay. Now, somebody remind me, how does our heart know when to contract and relax? How does our heart know that? What happens? Okay, we have that electricity, our nodes, right? Pacemakers of the heart, you got it. So let's talk about the coronary arteries. Now, what do the coronary arteries do? Now, they supply the heart with oxygenated blood. So remember, the heart is a muscle just like any other muscle in the body, and it also is going to require oxygen, right? So we have the right coronary artery. So you see that right here. And we have the left coronary artery. Now, the right coronary artery, guess which side of the heart it supplies? The right side of the heart, right? But also the inferior left ventricle. Now, the left coronary artery supplies the left side of the heart, okay? And then this is perfused during diastole, during that relaxation time. So it's important that we know when we're looking at our blood pressure, typically we're going to have a couple numbers that we're looking at, right? So I'm just going to make up a couple numbers. We have, let's say it's 120 over 62. And then we have this map. Now, if you are familiar with map, what does it tell us? The map for this one would be about 78. Okay, so typically then you're going to have, let's put this up here. Okay, so this lets us know the average blood pressure in our arteries during a cardiac cycle. Okay. Now, I want this to be greater than 60. Why? Why do I want that to be greater than 60? Well, if it's greater than 60, that lets me know that the rest of my organs are being perfused, which is a really good thing. So I want my map to be greater than 60. So there's a couple numbers. We have that systolic blood pressure on the top, we have the diastolic on the bottom, and then we'll have a map reading as well. Now, I'd like to take just a moment to pause and tell you a little bit about my favorite recommendation for students that are studying for the NCLEX. Now, that's our SurePass combo. Okay, Jennifer, why do you tell me, why are you saying that the SurePass combo is your favorite? Well, because it has everything you're going to need in order to be successful, in order to study. It's going to give you our on-demand videos that are going to break down these difficult concepts. It's also going to give you our Qbank, and our 3-day live. Our 3-day live review is the most amazing 3 days of the month. It is 3 action-packed days where we break down the most high yield information that you're going to need in order to pass the NCLEX. We go from fundamentals to even the most exciting specialties. So pediatrics, women's health, labor and delivery, that type of thing. It is absolutely amazing. I love those 3 days. But what about our Qbank? Now, it's great that we have questions, right? But what's a question if it doesn't explain to you why the right answer is right and why the wrong answers are wrong? Our rationales do that for you. Because as we're going through, I don't want you to just gloss over those questions and go, okay, I got that one wrong. I'm ready to move on to the next question. I want you to make sure that you understand why is the right answer right, but why are those wrong answer wrongs? Why are those wrong answers wrong? Now, if you're anything like me, when I was in nursing school, I was just ready to get on to the next question. The more questions, the better, right? But if I took the time to understand the rationale, that gave me fuel for future questions. So make sure you spend some good time there. If you are an RN, go ahead and scan that code there on your left. If you're a PN, scan the code there on your right. And don't take it from me. Go out and see what our students are saying. They love the SurePass combo. But for today, if you are joining me on this webinar, we have an exclusive 10% off code for you. You can use the code I love Archer just to we know that in nursing school, getting ready to take the NCLEX, money can be tight. And so we wanted to provide you with a little incentive to come join us. So go ahead, check out that 10% off coupon code. I love Archer is there for you. All right. Now somebody was asking me, how do we calculate MAP? Now, what we do is we take the systolic and the diastolic numbers, and we're going to do our MAP equals 1/3 times our systolic plus 2/3 times our diastolic. And that should give us our number. So our MAP lets us know that our organs are being perfused. Now, let's move on and talk about action potential. What is action potential? Let me know in the chat. Let me know what action potential is. Unfortunately, that code will not work if you have already purchased something, but going forward, you're able to use it. All right. So action potential is just this explosion of electricity. So when we talk about the electricity of the heart, we're talking about the explosion of electrical activity that sends a message to our heart to contract. Now, this is the action potential or the impulse. Now, there are 2 phases in this electrical current. Okay. So we have depolarization and repolarization. Now, depolarization, sodium enters the cell. This basically charges the cell and gets it stimulated. Now, once there's enough cells that are stimulated, then they will respond by contracting together, and that causes, what do you think? Systole or diastole? Don't look at the screen. Systole or diastole? What do you think? Systole, you got it. You got it. Now, after this intense explosion of electricity, the cells need to rest, right? They just used a bunch of energy. So now they need to rest. Now, this is repolarization. This is when the cell membrane returns to its resting state. Now, this resting state allows the heart to experience diastole. You got it? So repolarization will always follow depolarization, and it's that explosion of electricity that changes that electrical charge of our cell membrane. Okay, now the cool thing about the body is that the heart cells can actually create these action potentials all on their own. The heart can actually beat outside of the body as long as it has some oxygen reserve. Now, it doesn't need the nervous system, it doesn't need the brain in order to produce these electrical responses. Isn't that amazing? Now, anyone know where that electrical current starts? What's the pacemaker that starts this electrical activity? A little bit of anatomy quizzing here. It's the SA node. You got it. Excellent job. So the SA node is what starts that electrical current. It's the pacemaker that starts that electrical activity. Okay, so maybe you're sitting there and you're going, Jennifer, I am completely lost. I am struggling. We're about to get into EKGs, but I'm really struggling. Well, I have something for you. We have our very first EKG webinar that is paid. It's $25 to join us. Our next one is on July 2nd from 10 to 11 a.m. Central Time. You can go ahead and scan that QR code there. It's called Shockingly Simple EKGs, Decode the Beats, Boost Your NCLEX score. And this is where we're going to break down that most important information that you're going to need to help you reach your action potential. So I hope that you will be able to join us. So go ahead, click on, you can scan the QR code, you can use your smart device, and that should take you right there to get registered. So let's jump into a few of our EKG basics. Now, when we look at EKGs, we're looking at something that looks similar to this. So we have this P wave here. We measure the P wave from the beginning to the beginning of that Q wave, okay? Or that QRS complex. So our P wave is atrial depolarization. And then we have this QRS. Okay, so QRS going right up and down, and that's our ventricular depolarization. Now I remember that because it's a V upside down, ventricular depolarization. And then we have this T wave, okay, and that's ventricular repolarization. So our P wave is from the beginning to the beginning of the QRS. Our QRS is from where we left off with our P wave to the end of that when we come back here. And then we have what's called the ST segment, which is in between the S and the T. And then we have our T wave. All right, so how do we measure an EKG? Well, when we look at EKG, and it's synonymous with ECG. You'll hear those terms used interchangeably. You see it on a grid, and this is going to help us measure time. Now, when we're looking at this grid, we're talking about big boxes and little boxes, okay? So a little box would be like this one, and this one, and this one. And a big box is going to look like this. So our big box would be here. Okay. Now, how many little boxes do we have inside that? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 boxes that go side to side for one big box. Okay. Now, each big box represents what? How many seconds does a big box represent? .20 seconds. You're right. Now, each big box has 5 tiny boxes across, right? So we just talked about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiny boxes across. Now, if the whole box is 0.20 seconds, then how much is each tiny box? How many seconds would be in each tiny box? 0.04. You got it. Nice job, Faith. Way to go. So do you understand how we got that? So we have the big box that represents 0.20. And if we divide that by 5 tiny boxes, we get 0.04. Okay. So this is how we measure time for our EKG strips. So now what about those big boxes? How many would we need of the big boxes to get to 1 whole second? How many big boxes would we need for 1 full second? So we see 5 boxes across. I like it. Way to go. A full strip, and that tells us we have 1 full second. So 0.20 times 5 would be 1 full second. So in this strip, do we have a full second? We have 1 big box, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 1 full second in this strip. So when we are working with EKGs, it's helpful to be able to measure time because we want to be working with a 6-second strip. And I'll explain why in just a bit. So when it comes to EKG interpretation, there is a few things that we want to consider. Is there one P wave for every QRS? Is there a PR interval that is normal, so 0.12 to 0.20 seconds? Is the QRS complex less than 0.12 seconds? Is the rate, so is the heart rate between 60 and 100? And is the rhythm regular? So those are a few things that we're going to ask ourselves. And we're going to finish by practicing this. So let's look at this one. So when we're looking at, is there a P wave for every one QRS? So we have a P wave, QRS, a P wave, a QRS, a P wave, a QRS. So this one has one P wave for every QRS. Let's look at this one. Here's a P wave with a QRS, a P wave with a QRS, a P wave with a QRS, a P wave with, oh, there's no QRS here. So this one does not have a P wave for every QRS. Is the PR interval between 0.12 to 0.20? Well, let's look. So this one looks good. This one looks good. This one looks good. So remember, we're going from the beginning of the P wave to the beginning of the QRS. Now let's look at this one. That looks really long, doesn't it? Really long. That is not within our normal values. So the next thing we look at is their QRS less than 0.12. Now these should be skinny and pointed. So we have a skinny pointed QRS, skinny pointed QRS, skinny pointed QRS. These all look the same, but look at these. Oh my word. These are very, very large. That QRS complex is greater than 0.12 seconds. But what about the rate? So remember, when we're looking at a strip, in order to determine the heart rate, we want to be working with a strip that is how many seconds, would you say? 6 seconds, you're right. So when we look at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 beats in this 6-second strip. Now, how would I figure out what the heartbeat is? Well, I would want to multiply that number to get to 60 seconds, right? So if this is a full second, or if this is 6 seconds, then I would multiply 6 times 10 to get 60 seconds. So I would multiply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 by 10, and that's going to give me my beats per minute. Does that make sense? So we have 90 beats per minute. Is that a normal heart rate? Is 90 beats per minute normal? What do you think? Yes, excellent. Yes, it absolutely is. So that's a good thing. So the last question that we're going to ask is our rhythm regular? Is it occurring regularly? Beat, 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 beat. Yes, this top one is, but this next one is beat, 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 beat. So that's not regular. So regular would be occurring at regular intervals, like a metronome, if you've ever been in band or played an instrument, just keeping that beat. But a irregular rhythm is not following a beat. It might go, doesn't follow a regular beat. So this second one does not. So let's finish out our time together by answering a question together. So what does the P wave on an ECG represent? Is it ventricular repolarization, atrial repolarization, ventricular depolarization, or atrial depolarization? What do you think? Let me know in the chat. You guys have been amazing. I am incredibly impressed by your knowledge. All right, many of you said D. You are correct. If you said letter D, atrial depolarization is what's occurring in that P wave in the ECG. Very good. Now, if you are still struggling, if you're completely lost, please don't hesitate. Join us for this 1 hour webinar. Again, it's $25. You can scan that QR code there that will take you right to the registration page. We would love to be able to help break down some of these more difficult concepts with you. It is going to be an amazing time of learning. I am so delighted that you joined us. Thank you so much for being a part of the Archer Review community. Remember, wherever you are on your nursing journey, we have a place for you here in the Archer family. If you're just thinking about nursing school, getting ready to take the T's, we have a space for you. If you're in the thick of nursing school, hopefully maybe you're on break right now, we have a companion Archer for nursing school that can help walk with you through those most difficult classes. If you're getting ready to take the NCLEX, we have a place for you. You can join us for our free webinars. We have private tutoring. We have the Qbank. We have the SurePass combo. Or if you're a nurse practitioner, you're getting ready to take your nurse practitioner boards, we have a place for you. We have amazing nurse practitioners. I love women's health. That's my passion. That's what I've been doing over the last 5 years, is really dedicating my time to women's health. And so wherever you are, we want to come alongside you to remind you that you're not alone. We are more than just NCLEX prep here at Archer Review. We're about the community. We're about cheering you on, and it is an absolute delight to do so. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I can't wait to see you on Wednesday when we will have Shelly Kundick joining us to talk about how to best use skeleton notes. So you won't want to miss that. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you Wednesday.